I know that when I take a leadership position, I am not a passive driver. I'm actually generating myself. And so self-generating is really important in being successful. And
Okay.
so that's another thing. I think when you know you're grounded in your why, and you have a team around you. And when I say team, it doesn't mean your other real estate agents around you, or even your transaction coordinator. I mean, your team that helps you support your family so that your kid is taken care of, so that you can be focused on your work.
Because the management and transparency is what's very important. So once you submit a referral, you're going to have your own Home Advantage account, and it's going to tell you where everything sits. So if you have 10 referrals that you've sent into the network, it's going to give you all 10 referrals. It's going to tell you every milestone that client is sitting in, whether they're touring homes, whether they're in escrow. And you now can manage through the Home Advantage application as far as what your pipeline looks like for the referrals that you've sent. And so it's pretty sophisticated, and it's all click of a button, guys.
Everyone, hope you're having an awesome day. I've got my friend Ranny Ray. What an awesome name to remember, Ranny. Easy to remember, right?
Mm-hmm. That's why I married my husband.
RR.
I got the last name, and I told him that if we get a divorce, I'm keeping the last name.
You're like, it belongs to me.
I'll put it out there, but I'm just putting it out there just in case. I'm keeping it.
So good.
I mean, it takes so long to change your last name. Like any person, any woman who has changed her last name, it's a process. And I think the Ray was worth it for sure. So Ranny Ray Real Estate, it's like the perfect name for real estate.
It is. It is. And that's what we're going to talk about, because you jumped into real estate in 2020. Was it 2020 that you jumped in, Ranny, or was it right before?
It was actually, I jumped into it in 2019, right when I was pregnant with Maya, our 3-year-old. And I was just putting my toes in, taking the test. If I pass, I passed. If I didn't, I didn't. And then I found out I was pregnant, and I was like, okay, I really got to make this happen. And so I actually passed my test and got licensed in October when I was about 6-8 months. I don't know how many months pregnant. And then I still was serving because I had the ability to serve up until 9 months pregnant. Yeah. And so when I was 9 months pregnant, Maya was just like, this isn't happening. And my body literally would not allow me to serve anymore. And I was just, my stomach was like this far out, and I was starting to hit things that I shouldn't be hitting. So it's time to really go into real estate full time, 100%. And then the next day, this camera is being so finicky. I just feel like I should change. But what I was saying is and then I called my managing broker the next day, and I was just like, hey, I'm ready to get on it 100%. And I was still 9 months pregnant. And then maybe like a week or so later, my sister tells me, hey, I have a listing for you. And I don't want to be a real estate agent anymore. I think you would be really good and you'll love it. And he owes me a listing because I sold him the house.
Nice.
And so I was literally closing a deal at the same time as I was giving birth to my kid. And so
I love that.
Yeah. And I took 4 months off, thinking that I was going to just take maybe a week off or 2 weeks off or something like that. But I ended up taking 4 months off during the pandemic, and it was amazing. I knew what it felt like to like be at home and stay with my daughter and just be a new mom. And then I got kind of cabin sick, and I'm just going to actually take this off because it's getting on my nerves. Let's just do that.
All right. That's cool too.
Yeah. And so I ended up just, after 4 months of being a stay-at-home mom, I decided that I was going to go full-time in real estate. And I told her, I was like, okay, I'm ready to get back into it, and got 4 deals under contract in my first month and closed those 4 deals. And then it just became a reality. Oh, this is actually something that's feasible. It's possible. I can do it.
Yeah.
So since then, I've been able to be, from in my mind, in my world, successful in real estate.
Okay, let's talk about that because over COVID, a lot of people were doing great in real estate, and you were one of them, right? You were doing great. Then we transitioned out. I feel like half of last year, or a little bit over half of last year, then you started seeing a lot of agents struggle, and they started shifting things in order to still produce in some way. Now it looks like real estate's getting back on its feet, but I want to ask you, how are you transitioning through this period to stay ahead and to get business?
Totally. So when I first started, I took a lot of company generated leads, which was great. And they were really awesome to learn from. But what I didn't learn was how to build a business. And so the past year, I stopped taking leads last year at the beginning of the year and started to build my business. And so, I really do think that one, you kind of have to go back to basics, and relationships are really important. And then, the more you learn, the more you earn. And so I shifted everything from being it felt kind of like an employee type of situation into, okay, this is a business and I've got to run it as a business. And so in order to do that, I had to really get really grounded in my why, and my why is my family. And so that was what anchored me. And then I realized, okay, what was next is the who, right? Your team. So what I did last year was kind of set myself up to this year. Now people are, and I think a lot of it was being able to build like my business along the way, a little bit at a time, as much as I could. But it wasn't until I really put it all into, okay, this is my business and I'm taking full ownership of my business. I'm not relying on anybody else to give me anything like leads or anything like that. So let's do it. And then looking at, okay, what does it take to actually build a business? So in the beginning, I learned how to be an agent. And so I knew I got that down. So I didn't have to kind of like start over. I knew that I could just be an agent. That was something that I didn't have to worry about learning, but I didn't, and then I needed to learn how to sales, right? Be a salesperson.
True.
So that I think throughout my life, I kind of prepared myself to do that. And I needed to sharpen my knife. So the times when it was slow, I'm always learning, and then reading and listening to books. And there's always something on that is going to contribute to me being a better salesperson. And being a salesperson is really like, how am I going to be able to provide value and sharpening my skills in real estate? So I'm always up to date on what's going on in real estate in one way or another.
How do you stay up to date so that you stay on what's working and you stay motivated to continue to move forward? Because I think it's a combination of both. How do you do that?
Well, I think for me, how I did that was really getting into an environment that will allow me to do that. And this is part of the reason why I decided to join eXp. And my story with eXp was, I've been recruited to eXp so many times, like everybody else, but it wasn't until I was like, okay, I'm ready to grow. And so I needed to put myself into an environment that would allow me to grow as big as I could. And so I knew that eXp was that space to do that. And after doing a lot of research in other ways, and I knew that I needed to build my business, like this is what I needed to do. And then putting myself into an environment that's promoting that, whether it's like the mindset stuff, which, I listen to like all of the brilliant talks that you put out. I listen to, I do listen to the Bigger Pockets podcast a lot. And the On the Market, I listen to about like 5 podcasts, and I rotate through them. And I don't really go outside of what I'm doing. Like it has to be contributing to my mindset, to me learning about real estate, or for me to be a better person inside of my sales career. And so even like, I don't even listen to parenting stuff because I'm so focused on building a business, and then putting myself into an environment with people like you and all the investors inside of those podcasts. And then also putting myself into, I'm going to more networking events now, which I
Oh,
hadn't done.
nice.
So networking events are really, I think, a big thing is being in person and having that face-to-face interaction. And it's just constantly learning and putting yourself in the environment that allows you to grow, and then putting structures in that makes you accountable. So I've also built, I wouldn't even say they're my team, it's more partnerships,
Mm-hmm.
people, other agents that want to grow their business and build their business as well, and creating an accountability call every morning. Because if I'm holding them accountable to their goals, that means I have to hold myself accountable to my goals. And I know that when I take a leadership position, I am not a passive driver. I'm actually generating myself. And so self-generating is really important in being successful. And
Okay.
so that's another thing. I think when you know you're grounded in your why, and you have a team around you. And when I say team, it doesn't mean your other real estate agents around you, or even your transaction coordinator. I mean your
Mhm.
team that helps you support your family so that your kid is taken care of, so that you can be focused on your work, right? The team that
Mm.
is going to be holding you accountable to your goals, your team of mentors. And mentors to me is like multiple people, because I think having different perspectives is really important.
I like that.
And yeah.
I like that. So on the why, how do you ground yourself in your why? And then how do you help those around you that you're leading also find their why so they keep going? Kind of like their vision, right? But how do you ground yourself in your why?
For me, um, it's knowing your core values. I think when we know our core values and what's really important to us, we can discover our why much easier. So a lot of self working on yourself. And what does that mean? Maybe reading books on personal growth and development, maybe taking some seminars, some courses, getting
Yeah.
some coaching, maybe some therapy if you need it, right? Like doing that work to really know who you are and knowing what your values are, that will then allow you to really be clear on your why. And for me, one of my core values is family. It's
Ooh, yeah.
probably top of my list, even before wealth health. And so, like, it's just, I know that. And then knowing that my family also now has grown into my child, and it's even more solid, right? Like, and then that's knowing that this is that I've got to create and set up a future for someone who I think will make a difference in the world. And so, you know, knowing that that is very important to me, and not just me being able to provide for her, but also creating an environment for her to be able to thrive and to know that she's supported. And that means like having a great relationship with my husband and communicating with him, and having good relationships with my community so that she has a village that takes care of her. Right. So it's all connected to me for me to be able to know what my why is. And if it goes outside of that, and am I finding myself not happy or overworked or stressed, it's because I'm trying to strive for something that else that's outside of my why. You know,
Okay.
that's so it's like an inner compass. Like, do I feel good? Oh, this doesn't feel, there's something off about this. Then I have to go dig deeper and deconstruct it, and then really discover, okay, is this really, does this contribute to what I'm really up to? And then in order to help my partners and business partners and my team in their why, is questions, asking questions, because it's being just asking the right question and listening for what they're really saying, and then really asking the questions to pull that out. And then reminding people, right? Like having you remember why you're doing this. Like,
Yeah.
is that aligned with what you're up to? And having and being someone that people are okay with saying that to,
Um,
because not everybody can say that to you, because you can easily get offended if it's somebody that you don't respect. Right. So that's why I've got to be able to be on my own. I've got to be in integrity with my own life,
Mm-hmm.
so that when I am coaching or mentoring or leading people, I'm speaking from a place of being grounded. Like it's because I'm walking the walk as well, not just, talking the walk.
That's true. I like that. And I think if we look at really quick, because you're talking about being grounded and making sure you're more transparent. Like I love this. Let me see if it'll share. There it is. Perfect. I'm on your Instagram, and the one where you guys are eating ice cream, or your family's eating ice cream. Like you can totally tell that that's important to you, right? That's your why. And a lot of people are connecting with you on that, because if we go down, by the way, this one was super cute too. But if we go down, this one gets a lot of love because a lot of people can connect with you there. And I think that becomes super key and apparent, even though you also mix it up with real estate, right? But I think mixing it in with your family really helps us connect with you a lot more. So I like it a lot.
And I think that's really important because I think people like to work with people they trust.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I do share, and I'm pretty transparent about my family. And so it's pretty cool when you run into people and they know, oh, it's Maya, like as if they've met her for like the 100th time, and they've met her for the first time. And it's like, yeah, this is Maya. I share about her because this is so important to me. And even my husband is the funniest thing. Like, people know, he's like, it's like, I know you, because I share so much about him, because he's such a big part of my life and a part of my team. Like we're a team, like that's the team. And so like everybody knows our family and our life. And for me, it's so important to be transparent, that I could be myself, because when I am working with you, it's uncomfortable, because when you're working with a client, you're really getting into like those most vulnerable spaces, like especially when it comes to finances, and like the things that they don't want to deal with come up sometimes. And people want to work with people they trust. And for me, I really do think that I'm pretty transparent about my life. And there really isn't anything not to trust, because I don't really hide anything, And I think that if we can just be fully authentic, people want to work with authentic people. And I think that's what I've worked on the past year, and even now, is just finding those moments. It's not like I'm trying to be authentic. It's more like catching those moments when I don't feel authentic, or when it doesn't feel right, and really just stopping and just taking a moment and really reassessing and asking myself, does this align with what I'm up to? And what actions am I going to take? Or do I need to step back and just let things run its course?
I love that. And I think that's key. I'm writing this down, because what you're allowing us to do is to connect with you and creating that trust through that. So just from your calmness, Ranny, by the way, like you're fidgeting with the camera and you're just so smooth and relaxed, just so you know. Like I can already tell why people love working with you. Like it's not a big deal. You're just going to go through it and stay relaxed. So,
well, I mean, we're human, right? If you're connected to your humanity, you can F up and still be okay, because everybody is human. Like we're not perfect. So if you're not perfect, you allow people to be imperfect. And there's, like I said, when you're working with people and finding them a house or selling their house, you get into many vulnerable spaces and places, especially with me. I work with seniors, a lot of seniors who have let their houses, deferred maintenance on their houses, right? Like people can get really embarrassed when you come into their home. But if you allow people to just be, people are going to trust you, because for me, it's just like, that's the biggest, the common thread that we hear from our testimonials from our clients, especially our sellers who are primarily seniors, is trust. We trust you. We trust you because also you care. You care. And so it's finding the clientele that you want to work with, and we're really clear on who we want to work with. And when you're not desperate for business, you can choose who you get to work with.
That's very true.
And
I
so
love that.
and that's where it's like I've built a pipeline. Like I recently just started calling again because I think it's really important now, especially if you're in production, because some people aren't in production, they're leading teams and they're doing big things. I'm still in production, so I'm calling people with the intention of connecting with 5 people every day. And so I just called this lead that I called 2 years ago. And I called her up and I said, hi, this is Randy with eXp Realty. We spoke about 2 years ago of you possibly buying and upsizing your home. And she's like, yeah, that was like a long time ago. And I was like, and I said to her, did you guys end up buying? And she said, no, we didn't. Actually, we plan on buying in June. And I'm so glad you called, and she wants to work with me because we connected that first time. And there was something that I left with her, and just doing that follow-up. And now, I have a client
I
who's
love that.
possibly selling and buying.
And Randy, who are you calling right now? Is it people that are in your database, like your online leads that you were getting before, your sphere, your past clients? What does this look like?
So all across, I'm doing right now an assessment on what's effective. And so I'm really just going one through my database and cleaning it up, which means, hi, this is Ranny Ray. I'm with eXp Realty now, and we spoke about I just wanted to call to see if I just want to make sure everyone's taken care of. Did you end up finding a house? And then they tell me yes or no, right? And then we get into a conversation, and then I know where they are in the what so. And if they've already found something, they're likely not going to be buying anytime soon. And I just tell them, well, if there's anything that you need, please give me a call. You have my number. And for me, it's now a C or a D. Like I put that there unless there is a relationship that I want to cultivate personally, then I put it aside and I go to the next inside of my database. And then I also, because I did a lot of training in cold calling and sellers and off-market leads, because last 2 years it was tough for buyers. So I would call sellers off market to see if they wanted to sell to my buyers. And so I built relationships with people that way too. And I just kept them. And then I've touched base with them like, hey, have you thought about selling? Or how are you doing? Like, how's it going? Is there anything that you need? And so just tapping into that. And then I also talk to my referral partners, right? So there's different referral partners that I call. And that is actually another campaign that I'll be doing. Really, like, do you have any clients? Because a lot of them are senior providers. And so I would call those senior providers, they're in-home care. This is going into the weeds, but in-home care people, assisted living facilities, anybody who works with a senior, because real estate is going to be changing hands in the next 10 to 15 years. The boomers are aging, and there's going to be people who want to sell. And I want to be the first person that they talk to when they're ready to sell. And it's a long game, right? That's a really long game.
Yeah, that's a long game. And I love that because you're thinking ahead, way ahead. All right.
And that's the thing. It's like you got to pay your bills now. So who are my buyers or sellers who need to sell now? But I need to also plant those seeds for my pipeline per se for the future.
I love that. All right, Randy, how do people get a hold of you if they have questions or if they want to message you or just follow you? Where do they go?
Instagram is Ranny Ray, MSRANNY. RAY is the best way. You can DM me, or you can shoot me an email at ranny@teamrayandco.com. Those are the two best ways. Facebook is great. I love Facebook. I know you're getting back into Facebook.
Yeah.
That's where I connect with people, and I get a ton of leads from Facebook. And I think it's a really great place to build relationships.
Yeah. Well, you show up there. That's why. So it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like
And
that.
yeah, if anybody who wants to learn about what we're up to and what we're doing inside of real estate and serving seniors, please reach out because there is a market there and there are seniors who need help across the country. And we have a model that works. And
I
so,
love that.
yeah, reach out to me. We'd love to train people how to really serve that community.
I wonder if we could do a whole session on that, like 20, 30 minutes just on seniors, helping seniors. That could be really good, Ranny. Let's think about that.
Yeah, there's such an opportunity.
All right. I'm going to think on that. In the meantime, thank you for doing this.
Yep.
And I love following you on Instagram. So everyone, please follow Ranny there. Have an awesome day, Ranny.
Thanks, Justin. You too.
Thanks, everyone.